Welcome class 10 students. Welcome to my channel Modern Academia. In the earlier two videos, I discussed about the first part and second part of the story, A Letter to God. Today I have come here with the third part of A Letter to God, which is the ending part. So stay tuned with me for better understanding. While going through the text, I will try to give you the complete paraphrase, difficult meanings, and important questions, analytical approach of the text. So all around I will try to all cover up the whole area of the story from different kinds of angles, from the exam perspectives, from knowledge perspectives. So I will try to cover up everything. So stay tuned with me till ending portion of the story. So let's begin the class. Could you identify this man? Who is he? I think you are able to identify this man. Already in the first and second video, we discussed about that man. We are already quite acquainted about that man. He is none but Lencho. How Lencho started his life, how uh, he had strong faith upon God, what he thought about God, what kind of faith he had, what happens to him, what kind of brutality nature is given to him. All these things we have discussed in the first and second video, and later on what happened, he has written a letter to God, and this is quite unnatural. Already we discussed about it. A common man is not supposed to write a letter because you know a common man is supposed to have a realistic approach, because having realistic approach no one is able to write to God, because we are quite well known that we are not able to write a letter to God because we don't have the exact address of that man, or of the God. So we are not able to write you know any letter to God. But in the case of Lencho, he has the strong faith that he follows God. He has belief upon God. He has strong faith upon God. So why he is not supposed to help us? So in the same way, what happens? Following his faith, he has written the letter to God. And what happens after writing the letter? When he has posted the letter in the mailbox, the post office authorities or the postman opened the letter, or watches the letter, observe the letter very carefully, and then they uh, it becomes a kind of funny thing for them, because they are quite normal person, they are quite realistic approached person. So they are quite unknown about the fact that what kind of person is he who has written the letter. So later on what happened, it becomes a kind of funny thing for the post office authorities, but somehow they wanted to maintain the faith of that man, and that's why they have not given any ridiculous reply to that man. Rather they tried to maintain the faith of Lencho, and that's why they wanted to help him giving his money. Now let's begin the text. But almost immediately he turned serious and, tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with God." Now, the postmaster had got the letter in his hand, and first of all, what happened when he got the letter in his hand, he becomes a little bit funny. But in the later moment, he thought for a while that why he is going to shatter the faith of that man. Why he will shatter the faith of that man? He must maintain the faith of that man, and even he also wanted to have such kind of faith upon God, and that's why what he had done, he tapped the letter on the table. He kept the letter on the table, and he wanted to help that man. He wanted to maintain that faith of that man. That means what? Directly or indirectly, he wanted to help Mr. Lencho to maintain his faith. Now let's begin. So in order to, next paragraph, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea answered the letter, but when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it he needed something more than goodwill, ink, and paper. So, first of all, postmaster has already decided. He has already decided to help Mr. Lencho, giving him some money. But now, when he opened the letter, he got the demand of Mr. Lencho, that Mr. Lencho demanded 100 pesos. Now, how it could be possible for a postmaster to give him 100 pesos? Is it possible? No, in the real sense, it's not possible. So that's why, uh, he tried to build up one idea that how he could help that man. And moreover, these three things are not only enough to help him: goodwill, ink, and paper. So, ink and paper, why ink and paper is needed? Because has to reply the letter to Lencho. That's why ink and paper is needed. And goodwill already he has. That means the postmaster has the goodwill to help him. So, goodwill he has, ink and paper he has, but moreover, one thing is needed, and that is what? Money. Because without money, how he is going to help Mr. Lencho? So, apart from these three things, he also needed some kind of money. No, but he stuck to his resolution. That means he was fully determined. He has strong determination that he has decided. That means the postmaster has decided to help him. That means anyway he is going to help him. He asked for money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary, and several friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charity. Now, when he has determined, when postmaster has determined, that means he is going to do the act. No one could stop him to do that act. He collected the money from his employees. Even he has given his own part of his salary. And apart from that, he also collected the money from the other people to maintain the faith of the God, to collect some money. And this action of the postmaster is known as act of charity. Act of charity means, it's a kind of good activity for a particular person. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature: God. So when it was not possible for the postmaster to collect the 100 pesos immediately, but as far possible he collected the money. That means more than half. That means approximately 70 pesos or 60 pesos. He collected the money, and then he has written the letter to Lencho, reply letter to Lencho. And in that letter, he has not written anything that I am going to give you 100 pesos or 70 pesos or 60 pesos. He has not written a single letter, only he has given the signature of God. That means through which the signature God is quite sufficient to understand that God has sent the money. And that's why he has not written that the postmaster employees have helped you, okay, God has not sent you. These sort of things he has not written. Rather, puts he puts the signature God, which is quite able to establish the faith of God in Lencho. Now, here one question may be created: why the postmaster has not written any single letter, any kind of word in the letter, or any kind of word in that letter? Why the postmaster has not mentioned? Only they have written, or they have given the signature of God. What is the reason behind it? Now, move to the next thing. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. So, already I told you, Lencho had the faith. For a funny reason, God, Lencho had not written any letter to God, that to create ridiculous situation. He had not written. He had the faith, and that's why he has written the letter to God. And that's why what happened following Sunday, that means the next Sunday, he came to the post office to collect the money. He has the faith that if he has written the letter to God, that means he is supposed to get the help from God. So that's why he came back to the post office once again to collect the money. And earlier he came to the post office. If there was a letter for him, and also he also expected some kind of letter from him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looked on from his office. So the postmaster has done a good deed. So he looked contentment. He was quite happy to help Mr. Lencho. But